What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today I am shooting the bed liner on the Black Widow CJ7 bottom of the tub. So I'm in the process of sanding it, and I'm going to show you everything from beginning to end on what to do if you're going to bed line your Jeep. Either the bottom, this will also be bed lined in here. And that will be after I get my paint job, and I'll tell you why in a minute. So this is the product. I think this is the same as basically Raptor liner. The bottles look the same, but this is called Custom Coat, and it's by Customs Shop, if I read that right. So this is black. It's 2K urethane. It comes with your activator and a gun and a gauge to monitor your air pressure. You're going to need 40 to 60 psi at this gun when you shoot this. This kit, this is 1 gallon, and this is about $137 if I remember correctly. So this is going on the bottom, this is black, and this is going inside the Jeep, the tub. This is called Blood Red, and this has what is called Tenable. So this is the Blood Red, and this one is $220 for a 1 gallon. Now, how much does 1 gallon cover? It covers a full-size truck with a 6-foot bed. So if you have a Ford Ranger, Toyota Tacoma, any of those, it's more than enough to cover that. But a full-size 6-foot bed is what it's saying that this will cover. So this grit sandpaper that you want to use is 80 to like 180 it says, but I like using 80 because it gives it a deeper scratch, more to adhere to. And what I use initially is this palm sander. This is a really good palm sander. It's a Mirka. It's electric, so if you have an air compressor and you're using your palm sander, your air compressor is constantly going off and trying to catch up, that's a $600 palm sander. You don't need a $600 palm sander. You can just go to Harbor Freight and get one. Make sure you lube it up, you put oil in it, and that will be fine. And get 80 grit sandpaper. And then I order on Amazon the Mirka rolls. This is also 80 grit. You can see on the back it says 80. I've got 180, 320, and then I just cut little pieces off so that I can get in the cracks and crevices where the palm sander can't. Once you're finished sanding everything, you need to go back and check and see if there's any metal showing at all. If there's any metal showing, you need to etch prime it. Just kind of missed it. You don't need to cake it on. Just etch prime it, cover the metal, and give it about 15 minutes to flash, and then after that you can go ahead and spray the bed coating. So once you're sanding, once you've primed, then you need to prep it with a wax and grease remover. Do not use paint thinner that has mineral spirits. Do not use that. But what I use is this Prepple wax and grease remover. Turn around so the light hits it. This works well, and you could probably use acetone, anything that's going to cut the grease. And then you'll cover it up, cover what you do not want sprayed, and then I'll show you once I finish spraying it. You end up doing like a mist coat. You kind of go in like circles and kind of around, and it gives it a different texture depending on how you do that, and I'll show you what I'm going to do. So the reason why you want to, if you're going to do the interior of the Jeep, the reason you want to paint it first is so that you can put tape lines on your paint, because if you line X the inside first, you're not going to be able to get crisp tape lines for wherever you're painting. So get it painted first, and then do the line X, because most people do the interior of their Jeeps. So get it painted first if that's what you're going to do. But regardless, so I'm going to get started on this, and I'll show you how it goes, and I'll show you the final product. All right, Here we go. A couple other things I want to go over that I haven't really seen some other people talk about in these videos. Well, like any paint job, prep is the key, right? You got to prep everything, sand everything, wax and grease remover. So as you're sanding 80 to 180 grit, 180 is fine. I'm doing 80 because I like that deeper scratch for it to adhere to. If you see anything polished or shiny, like you're clear, that hasn't been hit, that means there's no scratch on that. So even though I'm using sandpaper, there's still some areas that are glossy in here. So the best thing to do is go back with a red Scotch-Brite, and that will get all that area. That's kind of the final thing you need to do, is go over it with a red Scotch-Brite. Once you're done with the red Scotch-Brite, you're gonna blow everything off, and then you're gonna look for, then you're gonna clean it with a wax and grease remover. I have what's called Prep-All. This is called Clean Strip Prep-All. Use your wax and grease remover, clean everything, and then look for any shiny metal spots. Hit that with an edge primer. It doesn't have to be a lot, just a mist is good enough. Usually it only takes a couple minutes to dry, but give it 10 to 15 minutes to flash before you spray on the bed liner. So once it's prepped, and while that's drying, that's when I start kind of taping everything up. You can tape it up ahead of time either way. But when you're spraying your gun, always be at a 45-degree angle. If you're on the hood or the roof, it needs to be 45 degrees, because if you're at an angle like this, you're gonna build up on the corner and the edge, and then it's gonna be lighter further away, and then you're gonna get what's called tiger striping. And that's one of the things, you'll get more of a buildup on those corners. The other thing I haven't really heard anybody talk about is these nozzles are adjustable. The tip of this is adjustable, so you can get more or less out of the end. So what I recommend is getting a piece of cardboard, big piece of cardboard, and doing a couple little test passes and adjust this to see the texture that you want. And there's certain things that are going to get you the texture you desire. One is setting this nozzle, 2 is your hand speed going back and forth, and 3 is how close or far away you are. So that's what you need to kind of play around with, test. But when you're spraying this, those are the things that needs to be consistent in order to get the best job. So your spray needs to be the same hand speed throughout, because if you're slower on one spray and then faster on the other, the faster obviously you're going to have lighter, less material, and again, it's not going to look even. And if you're closer on certain areas and you're further away on other areas, then the closer you are, the more buildup you're going to get. So those are the main things that's consistent, that's going to get you that best overall look, is your hand speed being consistent, how far away you are being consistent. The pressure on these is around anywhere between, say, 40 to 60 psi. So you can, again, that's something you kind of need to look at. Start with 40 and see how that goes, and then bump it up if you need to. Sometimes when you spray this stuff, you'll get a glob, and you'll see it, and so stop, and the way you fix that glob is just get some tape and roll it up and just push it. Kind of pat it down basically, and it will kind of blend in to the rest of it. The other thing, when you spray this, the first 2 bottles usually spray pretty well, but because that stuff is so thick, it will start to kind of harden in the gun, and then your subsequent bottles won't maybe spray as well. So one thing that you can do to combat that is get some reducer. Some, not paint thinner, because that has mineral spirits in it, and so get a reducer and put this in it, and turn this volume all the way up and spray it out and clean the gun out after every 2 bottles. And then once you hook your new bottle up, don't go right back and spray it. Spray that cleaner out of it first, and then go back into spraying it. It's not going to hurt anything, and even if you have a little reducer in there and you hit your metal or whatever you're spraying, it's not going to hurt it. But I just like to get that out of there before I spray it. Once you're done with everything, I would say wait 24 hours before you put any water or anything on it. Like if you're spraying, most people are spraying beds, bed liners, whatever, so don't put anything in it. Don't put any water in it. If you're gonna use it, I would say if you could, wait 7 days. So I'm getting ready to tape this up, and one of the things I use, it's called My Life Unit Tape and Drape, and I get this on Amazon, and it's 3 different rolls, and it works really well. You just pull this off, put the tape where you want, and then this just folds out and covers whatever you need to. Then you can take some extra tape and tape the sides. So this works really well, and I got it on Amazon. It's not much money. So what I like to do, I get this painter's tape that I get from Home Depot or Amazon or Lowe's or whatever, and I use that first to tape everything that I don't want stuff on. And then after I use that, then I'll come back and over and then drape it down. I'm finally ready to spray. I have everything taped up. Like I said, this stuff is really nice, the way it's set up. And I put the tape down first, and then I put this on the tape, and then I roll it out and tape everything down. There's some screws here that I'll be using, or some that I have to put nuts on. So tape anything you do not want covered on. Now the bed of this has nuts inside here, so I have these plugs that I use for powder coating to plug these holes so this Line-X cannot get, or bed liner can't get in the grooves of the threads. So I only have so many, so I'll have to spray, take them out, and move them down to the other ones. So everything's set up. You got one can. There's space in here, just enough for this. So this is probably about fold to about here. Put this in here, put this on your bottle, and we're going to set this at 40 psi. And I need to find a cardboard piece. I'm gonna find a cardboard piece to do some test shots, and then we'll start shooting. Here we go. Alright, so I'm at about 40 psi, and I'm gonna do a couple samples. That's actually 90 psi, somehow it got turned up. That's 40. had some issues. I finally finished, and it didn't turn out too bad. I know it's kind of difficult to see here at night. I got the spotlight on it, but it turned out okay. Well, it turned out better than okay, but it's not real uniform. Luckily, it's the bottom of the Jeep, and because there's so many sides, you have to get here, you have to get this side, and then you have to get everything back this way, and then you have to hit it again. It's very difficult to get symmetry on everything and everything equal. The problem I had when I put the set the gun up before I put the coating on the gun, I set the pressure up at 40 psi, and then all of a sudden it was reading 90 psi. So I tried to adjust it down, and it would go to 0. Just a very, very minor touch of the button would go to 0, and then I would turn it up and it would go up to 100. So it was either 100 or 0. I couldn't get it to 40. So at 100, it's pushing out way too much. So the only thing I could do is bring the distance out, come out further, and that seemed to work better. So after I probably could have got it done in 2 bottles, but because I spent so much time on the trying to dial it in, I wasted probably a half a bottle. So then after the second bottle, I switched because I actually have 2 kits, and both kits have a gun, so I switched to the other gauge. And as soon as I set it up to 40, it worked good, all for about a minute, and then the same thing happened. It started dropping pressure, and I think it's because it got too thick and it wouldn't push through, and with the higher pressure it will push through. And I even cleaned my gun after the very first shoot with the reducer and sprayed it out. But these guns absolutely suck. When I'm trying to get down at an angle, and if I go to the side, you can see it kind of goes off to the side, it won't spray. It has to be directly in, so it hits the button, but if it goes off to the side, it will not spray, and it moves. It shouldn't move, it should be straight on. So this gun sucks. The pressure gauge sucks. But what I did is when I was done with everything, I stood way back and I just sprayed it in like circles, big circles, to kind of create an overall symmetry and evenness to it. And it turned out okay, but I really had to use the light and get at angles and make sure I got up underneath here and all these, because I missed a lot on the first go, being one that's kind of dark in here. So I had to use a spotlight and make sure I hit all those angles. But anyways, it's done. You know, it was a problem with the gun, but what are you gonna do? You gotta overcome it, I guess. So, and again, luckily it's the bottom, and it did turn out well. I have to probably get a different gauge or something. Maybe actually reduce it down a little bit so it's not as thick when I do the inside of the tub. But I'll shoot a video on that one. This one's done. Thanks for staying with me and tuning in. I know it's been a long video, but I wanted to show you guys every step of the way, because a lot of these other videos don't show all the issues that you're dealing with and all the things that you have to do in order to correct or to get a very symmetrical flow. So anyways, thanks for tuning in. Please like and subscribe if this helps, and I'll see you on the next one.